What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So in what seems like it was a pre-recorded clip earlier done by the BBC, the Phones4U founder and billionaire John Caudwell tells John McDonnell that you scare me to death, obviously referring to Labour's policies towards billionaires and anyone that might happen to make a bit of money. You know, the people who employ everyone, guys. It's absolutely incredible, but the Evening Standard are reporting on it, among others, so I thought I'd check out theirs. And we'll also take a look at the actual clip itself from the BBC. It headlines, "You scare me to death. Phones4U billionaire tells John McDonnell." The billionaire founder of Phones4U today warned John McDonnell that Labour's economic policies will result in the very rich leaving the UK, which is something me and many people have said before. Philanthropist John Caudwell, 67, went head-to-head with the Shadow Chancellor and told him that the Labour Party's messages frighten me to death for the future of Britain. It came as Mr McDonnell set out plans for his first 100 days in office, if he gets elected, in a speech on London's South Bank today. He said his first budget would take place on February 5th, when almost 10 years of cuts will come to an end, with a string of promises including billions for the NHS, a £10 an hour living wage for workers over 16, and plans to tax the super rich, which we actually know will tax absolutely everyone. Mr McDonnell has previously stated that nobody needs or deserves to be a billionaire, which Mr Caudwell said was creating a divisive message, obviously. When I hear phrases like "nobody deserves to be a billionaire," it frightens the living daylights out of me, he said on BBC Radio 4's Today programme. That was earlier, we're not going to bother with that because we actually have the clip. What you are doing as a Labour Party is destroying confidence. Nearly every wealthy person I know is thinking of leaving the UK, including me, if Labour get in. And that doesn't surprise me in the slightest, to be honest, because I think most people would leave the UK if they could, should Labour get into government. I wouldn't blame them. Mr Caudwell, who has an estimated 1.6 billion fortune, said the rich-poor divide was disgusting, but added, "When you then say we need to get rid of billionaires, that's just ridiculous. We need to encourage wealth creators." But Mr McDonnell claimed his plans had been exaggerated by sections of the media. No, they wasn't exaggerated by sections of the media. That's what your manifesto says, mate. There's nothing being manufactured. It's what you wrote down. Black and white, dickhead. In his speech today, he said there will always be those at the top who will do anything to stop us. We've seen character assassinations, lies and smears taken to a new level. What's that, from you guys against everyone else? It seems a bit rich for the Labour Party to talk about smearing. Phew, incredible. Those who have had it good for so long are terrified of losing control. When they attack me or Jeremy, we know it's not really about us, it's about you. They hate the people of this country. This guy's stupidity is just unreal. But he's saying the things that he will hope will get the stupid people to vote for him, the people who don't have a clue and just think everything in life is free. Much like an article I see yesterday that I really wanted to do a video on, but I probably wouldn't be very nice about it, so I didn't bother. They hate the idea you might dream of a better life. No wonder they will stop at nothing to keep you from taking control of the country where you live. No, John McDonnell, you mean you taking control of the country where we live and doing what you want. You and the Labour Party do not give a shit about the working class at all. I don't care what anyone says. You're only offering the extravagant spending plans because you know it's the only way you can get in, with you and Jeremy Corbyn leading the Labour Party. Because as we all know, Jeremy Corbyn is absolutely despised, and so are you. The Shadow Chancellor said he'd been working up draft plans to hand to civil servants this Friday, the day after the election, adding, "Don't be fooled by the doubters who say our plans are unachievable." The Institute for Fiscal Studies has warned that Labour would be unable to deliver the spending increases, as it has promised, without higher taxes for poorer people too, obviously. Now let's take a look at the clip from the BBC where John McDonnell met the founder of Phones4U.
Paid over 300 million in total if you take capital gains tax as well as income tax. And I'm happy to do that because it's a contribution to the society that helped me be successful, and a society that desperately needs my tax dollars. In addition, I spend probably at least 60 or 70% of my waking hours on charitable purposes.
So what is it about John McDonnell's plans then that upset you?
When I hear words like, or phrases like, "nobody deserves to be a billionaire," and phrases like, "we're going to tax high technology companies," it frightens the living daylights out of me and out of society.
I applaud what you do. I've actually said I do pay tribute to those people who are the entrepreneurs, who create the wealth, who pay their taxes, and act responsibly. I do that every time. But it is about having a fair taxation system as well. You know, where I was brought up in Scotland Road, and that it's now seen as one of the worst slums in Europe. Actually, we just called it home. We're now in a situation where we've got levels of poverty I never thought we'd see return again. So having that fair taxation system will enable that to happen. But you're right.
It has to be pragmatically.
That's exactly what we're doing though, John. So if you look at our proposals in this election, we are talking about the top 5% paying a bit more in terms of income tax rates. Again, not significantly more. We are looking at, reversing some of the corporation tax cuts. Not all.
Would you have started your business? Would you have done what you did in the circumstances of the country as John McDonnell envisages it?
The Labour Party as it stands today, if they were in power, no, I would not.
You would not have started your business?
If the Labour Party...
Why not? Why
no,
not?
It's true.
I don't
well,
believe
you can't challenge me on that.
Okay, but I just don't believe it. I think you would. I don't
Why would
believe
I
you.
stay in a political environment that's unfriendly and not encouraging entrepreneurship?
Well, we
and
are.
Not no, you're not, because what you're doing is you're creating a divisive message. What you're doing as a Labour Party is destroying confidence. And if you destroy confidence...
Well, I don't think we are.
You are definitely destroying confidence.
Okay.
Nearly every wealthy person I know is thinking of leaving the UK, including me if Labour get in.
If people have anxieties, come and see us.
But you won't settle the anxiety because the rhetoric that goes on is so destructive. But it's coming from your party.
Well, it's the rhetoric that's reported in certain elements of the media does not reflect the reality.
Does the Labour Party believe there should be no billionaires?
Some people have said that. We've said all we want is a fairer society.
But
do you personally believe there should be no billionaires?
I don't think it makes. To be honest, I think it doesn't matter the scale of how much people have, as long as the equality is greater.
But when I hear condemnation and divisiveness, because we need to encourage people to be inspired, to be successful, and to make Britain great and to create the money, but we also need to inspire them to stay on shore, to pay the taxes, to pay fair taxes, and to be charitable. 50% is nothing to me if it's fair. But if somebody in Monaco is paying nothing, and then I'm going up from 40 to 45%.
How do you deal with that, John McDonnell? How do you deal with it? It's a practical thing and it's a moral one.
It is a practical thing and it is moral. If it is to race to the bottom on taxation, we're not going to compete. What we're trying to do is create a society through fair taxation and investment and growth, whereby people can feel at home, safe, secure, and living in a society like you, that they take pride in living in.
So from the get-go, John Caudwell, the founder of Phones4U and Billionaire, points out he has paid over £300 million into the UK's tax coffers and was happy to do that before going on about charitable work, which we don't really care about. He is right when he said we desperately need these tax dollars, though we are in the UK, mate, so they would be tax pounds. Now, some of you will remember back to the Andrew Neil Jeremy Corbyn interview, where Andrew Neil was forced to point out the inescapable fact that the top 5% of earners in this country, which includes John Caudwell here, pay 50% of the total income tax revenue this country actually collects, meaning it is vital. When asked why billionaires are scared of the Labour Party under the Marxist Corbyn and McDonnell, the Phones4U founder points out the Labour Party's rhetoric and policies are not only anti-business, but frightening, not only to the rich, but average Joes like me, who know, in the end, Labour's policies will cost us all a lot of money. We then hear from John McDonnell himself, who instantly lies to this guy's face, claiming he admires what he does, when in actual fact, this Marxist tosspot only admires the wealth he can strip from these people. He does not value people with drive and ambition because they won't vote for him or the Labour Party. He needs people reliant on the state to push his narrative and get what he wants. It's an age-old method to brainwash the masses. The veil does slip the moment he talks about a fair taxation system though, because like I said a few minutes ago, and Andrew Neil stated as a fact when he roasted the Corbynated chicken last week, the top 5% of earners already pay 50% of all income tax. So if John really wants to make things equal and fair, the billionaires would get a massive tax cut and we would all be forced to pay a lot more. Therefore, Labour's system would just make it even more unfair towards the rich. It's literally discrimination against people who are smart enough or driven enough to succeed in life. Most of us can only dream of making 1% of what they will make, including myself, but we would never begrudge them the rewards for whatever they did or didn't do. Life is too short to sit there jealous of other people. Do the best you can do with your life instead of trying to stand on the backs of those who do succeed. These rich men and women employ millions of people at the end of the day and drive the economy, which is something the Labour Party and this imbecile seem to forget. The discussion then moved on to a question from the reporter who asked would the Phones4U founder have bothered creating a company if this Labour government was in power at the time, which is a pretty stupid question. This billionaire is about ready to up and leave the UK to avoid a Marxist-run government stealing his wealth and businesses, like they already plan to do with nationalisation. John McDonnell knows what he said is very damaging to the Labour Party's claims that it is pro-business, so sits there and rudely calls this man a liar in a true show of his disdain for anyone who is clearly smarter and more successful than he is. John Caudwell is right though. Why would he stay and build up a business under a government that was so openly against anyone who is successful? They wouldn't, would they? And could you blame them? In true fashion, John McDonnell is completely dismissive of everything he's saying, when, as a rich guy who knows other rich people, I'm sure he would be well placed to know what they think and plan to do. You heard him say others are planning to leave if Labour gets in, and he will join them. Meaning kiss goodbye to all that tax revenue people, which we will then have to pick up the shortfall obviously. John McDonnell saying come and see us is laughable. They know your plans and ideology. It's been seen throughout history and cannot be changed. They want no part of it, and neither does the average Brit. But to show McDonnell's utter desperation, he even resorts to blaming the media, because I guess people reading their manifesto, seeing the crazy shit included in it, is a right-wing media conspiracy. Now towards the end of that clip, he even lied to this guy's face once again, saying I've heard some people say that we don't need billionaires, and we have said that we want a fairer society, when in actual fact, he is quoted in a City AM article dated November the 19th, as saying no one needs to be a billionaire. I guess him and Joe Swinson did some liaison before this interview to get some tips on how to lie your way through it, as she did a great job on that not long before, as you see in my video earlier today. We then heard Labour's claims to equality, which is how they want to frame it so it does not look like they're stealing rich people's money, when the only equality there should be is the equality of opportunity, not what Labour and these rabid leftists keep pushing for, which is, as you will all know, equality of outcome. I do feel this billionaire is completely wasting his time dealing with this Marxist scumbag though. His ideology is ingrained, as I said. Nothing you will say will prevent him coming for your money if Labour get in, which as you heard in that clip will send the rich running for the hills, though to be honest we already knew that anyway. But on that note, I will end the video there guys. I want to thank the channel's PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with a notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I'll see you all in the next one.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches. They don't like the truth. Twice they have been asked to let the electorate decide upon whether they should continue to sit in their seats, while they block 17.4 million people's votes. Parliament is a disgrace, but they're too cowardly to give it a go. But the time is coming. The time is coming, Mr. Speaker, when even these turkeys won't be able to prevent Christmas.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.